Yes, hi, and welcome to this self-improvement platform and a place where we freely share, and a place where we expect that you can ask questions and then we can be able to answer those questions and just to break down those things that seem so huge and to demystify some myths that we have met along the way in relationships, entrepreneurship, and leadership and business in all other spheres of our lives. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hilda here has done a great job to get me on camera.
I know.
I hate camera.
But yes, for the longest time you've loved audio. You're a lover of audio. And on the other side, I get lit when the camera goes on.
She really loves the camera.
I know.
I'm not a camera person, but I'm doing my best, I guess.
Yes, and I believe
Yes.
this is impacting people.
Okay,
So today we want to talk about what should we call, not envy, but someone being jealous.
Yeah.
Definitely that has a cause.
Yes.
And but we want to know, how do we when you feel you are jealous about something or towards in your relationship, how do we overcome that, or how do we stop that? I think that's what I want us to talk about, because you realize that when a relationship is good, when there's connection, like it's more like a lifeboat. You're floating, and life is good. You know, there's validation, there's love, there's significance, and you just feel like life is light and you can make it through whatever waves the life is going to bring. But again, on the other side, when there's either breach of trust or a corrosion of trust, the relationship becomes like a weight that you have to carry around, because you're walking on eggshells. You love that. You're walking on eggshells. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's coming. You're so uncertain.
Yes.
And so the boat rocks. You hit rock bottom. You just don't know what to expect, and that is not a good place to be. And sometimes it's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's a reason for it to happen.
Jealous is a good thing, by the way.
Obedience koyo.
Even the God we serve is a jealous God.
I know, yeah.
So jealous itself is not as bad, but then we look at what causes the bad.
To cross to the bad,
exactly.
Or to the extremes.
Because I need to know where my wife is, I need to know what she's doing, but I don't want to do a lot of work to get that information from her. I want her to feel the sense of accountability.
Like freely, yes.
Yes.
Like,
so I before I ask, I should know all you are.
No, yeah. Honey, I've stepped out. Exactly. You know, I'm here, but maybe in an hour's time. And even if I take longer, I can say, oh, I've stayed longer than I expected.
Now, I was in a certain place recently. I was talking to some men, and I said, I give my wife accountability. Where I spend my time. I mean, she gets to know my day to day.
Yeah.
And these men were like, what kind of living?
I
was like, she actually knows where I am right now. She was like, then you're not a man. I was like, I'm more man. I think I am. And so the triggers, to the insecurity that causes someone, you understand, to get to that place where you were coming from,
where they're
jealous. And you know, he's really, really thinking that he's watching over, but the thing is, he's only mistrusting you.
Exactly.
And
they're following you up there.
That mistrust, that
is
place
what we want to do.
Is what we want to talk about. What is it that triggers that man or that woman to behave a certain way?
Where you sit alone and your thoughts are just somersaulting.
Exactly.
Thinking about where this person is, what they are doing, what they are not telling you. And it's not even about whereabouts, but more of what you're doing and what you're not doing in a relationship or with them that will trigger, or their expectation versus the reality of what is given in a relationship.
Yes.
They do not, there's a discrepancy. So they don't know how to address it other than to nag, to cry, to grumble, to whine, and just to silent treatment. So there's so many forms of how someone is going to display that they are jealous.
So the triggers is what we will discuss. And then what makes a man think that I can trade the most important for what I would call privacy.
Yeah.
And what is
privacy? For what?
What is privacy through your wife. Why would you want to be in a certain place without your woman, your wife?
Knowing. Unless it's a dirty thing or it's something that is not
what
knowing.
Is it that has gotten you to that place? I think we'll try to discuss that.
Yes, because and the reason as to why we're talking about it from the angle of a woman is because it's a woman who asked, how do I stop being jealous? Her question was, how do I let go? How do I stop caring?
And you can feel that tone.
See, they have been triggered to that place.
Yes.
And maybe they have complained. And by the time someone cuts off communication, sometimes they have talked about it again and again, and they are meeting resistance.
Yes.
So they are only thinking, I think I should take 2 steps back. And maybe this person is going to notice.
Yes.
And maybe this person will come and we'll have a dialogue. But sometimes when someone takes the 2 steps back, the other person actually disappears more into what they are doing. So they become like minds, they are stuck. Yes. They don't know what.
But you can feel the tone in her question. She's already giving up. Yeah. She's gotten to that place where she feels like she's nagging. She feels like she's forcing herself onto you, so she would want to let go. She's choosing her peace. She's like, I think I need my peace, otherwise I'll die, or I'm running myself into a depression because I'm chasing after a man
who does not want to be chased.
Exactly, who does not want to acknowledge the fact that he's okay, and I deserve to know. So it's not just about jealousy, it's really about mistrust.
Exactly.
She's gotten to that place where she feels like I can't trust anything that he is doing. I mean, by the time he's gotten to a point where he's hiding it, then it's not proper.
Yes, there's something wrong.
You know, and I've tried. I've done everything that I can, okay, and I'm giving up. I'm tired. I think I'm nagging.
And I think that trying, we also want to address it. Apart from the triggers, what have you tried to do? Has it worked or has it not worked?
Exactly.
And what's the right way to actually approach it? And I think we'll be able to close this video.
Yep.
Okay, so we said the triggers, and I think that we will find as we go on. But I think the number one thing is to be able to acknowledge. The moment you get to know that I am sick, and I need a doctor or I need medicine, then that is the number one approach to actually getting your healing.
Yes.
Instead of just pushing it under the carpet and saying, you know what, maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe it will go away by itself. Do you know there are people who do that? Maybe it will go out, maybe it will go away. Maybe he'll come to his, or she will come to his senses. And whatever we talk about a lady also applies to a man. And actually these days it's worse on the man's side.
Being that this question was asked by a woman, I want to talk about the same thing you've talked about the other way around. When does a man get to that place where he can acknowledge that I think I'm losing the most important person in my life, so I should change my ways?
I love that. They need to they need to know that, because some of them take long to wake up, and by the time they wake up, this woman is tired, because a woman will be patient for so long, but when she gives up, sometimes it's irredeemable. Or even when you redeem, you have redeemed a body without a mind. So she is available in your home, but her mind is not for you. She's building her own empire in your own in your empire. And no one wants that.
True.
Okay? So I think acknowledging, whichever side it is, if you're the man that is facing this or the woman that is facing this, acknowledging that this is a problem and I think I need help. If I cannot self-coach, if I cannot sit down and reflect and dig out the problem, then I need someone else to help me. It could be a neutral party, it could be someone that you know, and that's someone that you choose to trust. But to first acknowledge, to sit down with yourself and say, this is a problem. And it's taking happiness out of my marriage.
Getting to that place where you can acknowledge means taking time to dig deep. As in, I'm here to say, the things that take priority in our lives, I think that can esteem for a moment, that can build esteem
for a moment,
but it dies out. I'll give the example of, there's this girl who sends you these flirtatious messages, and for a moment you feel like you're on top of the world.
You're the man.
Exactly. You feel like you're on top of the world, you feel like you have it all to as in there's someone who can call me all sorts of names, exactly. But you realize it's just for a time, and guess what, you're switching places. You're losing the most important, trading it for something
You're losing gold and picking a stone.
Because if they told you that choose between that girl sending you flirtatious messages and the mother of your children, you'd want to stay with the mother of your children. Now, at what point do you recognize that, appreciate that, and change? That's what we're talking about by acknowledging. At what point do you acknowledge that much as I'm receiving these messages, you understand, okay, and they make me feel momentarily good,
and it's possible that at that spot in your marriage or relationship you have lost the spark,
of course,
and so someone else is akumamu muliro, is pushing the fire up and rekindling something, and you are holding on to that.
I want to send that back to you. I want to send that back to you, Hilda. At what point does a man feel like that, and what causes that? What would get the man to the place of feeling like what I can't get home, I can get elsewhere?
Okay, and I think that's what we talked when there's a lost connection somewhere, and that lost connection.
And I want you to, what I'm really interested in is you trying to help that girl to understand that there's something she's not doing, probably.
Yeah.
Others will tell you,
and it's not an excuse.
Others will tell you, I'm doing everything, but he still does the other way around.
Yes.
That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about where the woman is doing her best.
Yeah. But maybe there is something that she doesn't know that she's not doing. One
of the things I'll tell you, Hilda, that I have really closely observed. Now, I'm speaking from the side as men.
Yes.
In most cases, when a woman conceives, most especially their first child, there is that transition that starts from the day she feels she has a baby. Okay? Now, I admit,
her adoration shifts.
I admit that it's not an easy transition for a woman. That now she has a child
to take care of, to cherish, to love, and to give attention.
And while she's going through those first 3 months, she has to experience everything that goes with those first 3 months. The first trimester is really, really terrible. And guess what? There is a man.
Yeah.
You understand? Who's probably has not gone on the same journey with
and many of them don't go.
Yes, rarely, because it takes two,
oneness and the intimacy and understanding
a lot
each
of
other.
it,
yes,
for the man to join you on that journey. But usually the man
stays detached,
exactly, and starts watching
from the side.
Yes, and remember, it's not just 3 months, it goes on until she gives birth. Now when she gives birth, it is the start. It is really the start. Now, attention to the baby, more to the baby. You understand? And remember, when they've given birth, they have a lot of physical changes on their bodies.
Exactly.
And these physical changes on their bodies somehow send them into depression. Some women,
they don't know what to expect.
Yes.
They are surprised, but not pleasantly surprised.
Exactly. And they don't even know how to deal with it. And some of them will not involve
and makes it worse when actually the man is not involved.
The man is not involved. So the man does not know the changes that the woman is going through. And guess what? This is not just going on, but remember, before you realize, she's pregnant again.
Number 2, yes.
You understand? And before you realize, pregnant number 3. So somehow, that transition, if it's not properly managed,
if you've not maneuvered together,
yes, to manage it together, you walk that journey together. Usually,
there's a problem. Yeah.
Whatever that the man is missing here may find himself slowly looking for it elsewhere. Now,
but not appreciating that he is the cause of the missing of whatever it is.
When does a man acknowledge that? Okay? That's what we're addressing. For him to acknowledge that, I think, I lost it somewhere. And now, the woman has been going solo for a very long time. She had her first child, and before we realize we have our second child, we have our third child, and the connection is dead. The connection is really dead. Dead. Okay, care,
intimacy, the usual physical.
Yes, it's dying. Now, when does a man get to that place?
The care, the passion,
and try to restore that,
to
because
redeem.
We talked about acknowledging.
Yes,
and yes, we are acknowledging that there are certain things that the man has done. You understand? But is it possible that the woman also needs to play part in helping the man?
Definitely, to cross over, to be able to redeem them, or to be able to show them that you're a part of this journey. You're not, because so many women actually kick off the man.
Yes.
Some of them, there's a fraction
Yes.
of women, they kick them aside, so they take a solo journey,
Yes.
and then they expect that this, after they give birth, this man is going to come onto a bandwagon, which is not true.
And even after giving birth, just like I said,
it's
some
the
of
start.
them, actually, it's the worst start, because to a certain extent, a man will understand the hurdles, during pregnancy, the hassle throughout pregnancy. But one thing that the man will not understand is when the woman now is dealing with the physical changes on her body.
Yes, after
where
birth.
She's not proud about certain things, and she's trying to
the
admit
sagging
it,
body,
and she's
the stretch marks,
all of
the
that.
round up body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
because throughout pregnancy, this man was detached. After pregnancy, he even gets more detached, because
She's
now
not
the
on
woman
is coiling.
Yeah,
is hiding,
and the man thinks you are detesting me. You're sending me away,
which is not true.
It's not true. I know. But at what point do you reconcile?
Exactly. And that is where some of the problems come in. The jealousy starts to kick in, and
that's how now the woman starts suspecting that probably.
Exactly. And that is where we have balanced it up from the side of the offender and the offended.
Yes.
Okay, so on the side of the offender, who is the man, maybe it depends which side, because there is always someone who is complaining and there is someone who is being complained about, and I think we've talked about both sides.
True.
But I think at that moment where you come to realize, you as the person that feels the jealousy, is when you come to acknowledge that now this is a problem.
Yes.
And I think where we go from there, or from the offended, you talked about waking up, that you know what, there's something. I need to wake up and do something. And I think where it leads us is to be able to look at it as a solution, that this jealousy is pointing where if the fly is flying to a certain area, then there is that area that needs to be washed. You need soap and to dust it well, or to clean it well. So if the jealousy is pointing to something, what is it pointing to? And I think that is where it leads us, that look at this this hurdle from a point of solution, rather than ringing around your neck time and again, and a full year goes and another one goes, until you have built ridges in between you and trenches, and you cannot cross.
True.
It's very hard. Someone says, if you want me so much, cross to this side,
and
then you're like, but
again,
let's meet in the middle way, and then you're becoming angry, and all of a sudden there are fireworks and nothing can work. So looking at it from the point of solution. And I think this is where we fail most of the times, because if I am projecting my insecurity onto you, and I get to know that by the way, he has done nothing to trigger this insecurity and the jealous that I'm feeling. But that goes with reflection.
Yeah.
Sitting down with yourself.
A lot of it, yes.
Not anyone, not discussing with your friends and then telling you, I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it.
The other, we run to third parties.
Exactly. Who don't know nothing about the relationship.
And we don't tell them everything. We give them the
sweet side of the story.
Exactly.
But not the right one.
So they based on that will ill-advise. So here is a woman who is expecting that probably his husband is cheating, but the trigger to that is something,
her own insecurity.
Yes, something different.
She feels like the body changes. She feels she's not enough.
Yes.
She feels not beautiful.
Yes.
She feels not appreciated.
And
so she's projecting that onto the man.
Exactly.
That even when the man says, I think you've had when a man says, you're beautiful the way you are, like you're consoling yourself. And there's so many women who do that.
Yes.
So it's a mind game to them, and they don't accept it. So they keep putting themselves down. And instead of acknowledging that, you know what, now I need help in this area to lift up my self-esteem and my confidence, to accept that this is a motherhood journey I decided to move, and I don't expect any different. And different women react different to pregnancies. There are those who will come out with flat stomachs after 2 weeks, and there are those who will have bulging stomachs for even after 8 months, 4 years, even after 10 years, even after 10 years.
Yes.
So you know that my journey is unique to me.
Yes.
And what can I do to address this? Do I hit the gym? Do I diet? Do I, go on intermittent fasting? That means you are able to deal with the problem that this jealousy is pointing to something. Can I take away this?
Exactly.
And see whether it clears the path.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's the breach of trust.
Exactly. And as I said, now I talked about the third parties. When you go to anyone else, other than someone who can have that kind of authority in your life to help you, like your counselor. If you have your counselor, will have the counselor will have the history, so they may be able to point to the problem faster.
Yeah.
But when you go to some of your friends and they're only pointing to one thing, I think Atandi Sobwenzi and all that, you'll find yourself accusing your man over something that he's not actually doing, but it's because of your insecurities.
Exactly.
You know. So this is what I'm thinking, Hilda. While the woman is doing that, like you've advised, what is the man doing at that point? Number one, which is really, really important for you as a man, once you acknowledge that I lost it at a certain point, there's never been intimacy, I usually encourage men to have that straight conversation. I don't know why we shy away from having the dialogue. I don't know why we can never sit down to talk about.
And if this is the person you've decided to
if it's
stay
about
with for the rest of
intimacy,
your life,
if it's about intimacy,
we shy away.
People don't talk about those things. Okay, you've been with your woman and maybe buchafuna olubuto paka watu kidogo kuzala, you can count the number of times you've been intimate with your wife.
Yeah.
She gave birth, okay, and a lot has happened in between the time she gave birth
that
to where you are right
everything.
now.
Yeah.
And you can even count the number of times you've been intimate with her. Go to her, have a conversation, talk about it
openly.
There's nothing to shy away.
No.
Talk, have that open conversation, because it will unearth a lot. If that woman thinks, because what goes on in a woman's mind is, if he's not having that intimacy with me,
then he's having it somewhere else. And yet
else.
She's wrong sometimes.
Most
of
times.
the times, yeah.
Now, when you open up that conversation, you counter her thoughts. You counter everything she's been thinking. You will unearth a lot.
Yeah, you air your own.
You will unearth a lot in that discussion. You will realize that she thought you were actually detesting her because of her physical appearance.
That changed her.
Exactly. Because the girl you dated while she was at university.
Oh, had the kawato.
You understand. But right now,
round. Anyweza vinywezi.
You know. Okay, so she thinks you probably are judging her. You probably are no longer.
She cannot even undress before you.
Yes, such a
poor lady.
She feels probably, you know, and guess what? At times, some of your friends, the female friends, have it all together. You know, and you're not doing anything with them, but she feels jealous.
Yeah.
That you appreciate them more than you appreciate her. So when you have this conversation, it will unearth a lot of things. It will help you put everything into perspective. You realize that this woman has been running away because she thinks she's not the kind of woman you dated, the kind of woman you fell in love with. She feels she's not appreciated. She feels she's not loved. She thinks,
and maybe she's even trying to lose weight and it has refused to.
Yeah, because some of the women are trying to lose weight while eating ice cream.
I know.
A lot of it. 3 scoops.
And then the men in their lives are so bad that they keep buying ice cream. Oh Lord.
You take 3 bottles of soda, Coke,
I know. And then
ice cream, you do some chicken and chips, and you're like, I'm dieting.
I'm so guilty. But that's fine. Okay, so this person has taken you've said dialogue, and dialogue is really awesome, because then you're able to address this. I think we need to grow up. A lot of people need to grow up, and a sense of maturity and a sense of certainty of knowing that this. I think one of the things that has helped us so much is, you remember when you told me that, you know what, no matter what comes our way, at the end of the tunnel, we are going to still hold hands, kiss and make up, and we are going. And I think that has diluted a lot of things that have come our way, because then I know I will get annoyed now, but again, I'm going to kiss and make up. The next one, I'm like, where am I wasting my time? So I think dialogue gives you that sense of security that we have talked about.
The reassurance.
Yes.
Because then it's your job as a man to get her to see things the right way. As in, while talking to her, portray that confidence.
Yes.
Because all that she wants is to read that confidence, that reassurance, that omwagala, omufirako, nga bwali.
Ate nga sigamba nti obisagiramu, but akkiriza nti that's exactly what you
and
mean.
Demonstrate it.
Exactly. Yeah, munyige, press that flesh. Okay, so on the side of the lady, after you have admitted and then after you have found out that this is exactly the problem, my problem is he breached the trust.
Yep.
Okay, so when he breached the trust, I keep going back to the same thing again and again, and I think that also takes us to the dialogue, or either the coaching or counseling that you can have as a couple to make sure that you get that out of the way. But I think the other thing I would want us to finalize with is to be able to look at not really the love languages, but what kind of love do we expect? Because we come with expectations. So if I come with expectations of you are going to validate me, I am going to be so significant in your life, and I am going to be your best half or your better half. I'm just going to be that person for you. And then I meet or I'm met with other realities that I didn't know about. I think it's time for me to go back to my drawing board and find out what is not being met on my plate of expectations. And then I can be able to respectfully and politely communicate it. That when you do this, when you do not trust me, for example, I've had their men who take their yapas or their land titles to either their uncles or somewhere, and they don't trust their wives and stuff like that. And then when you communicate and say, okay, I thought when you talk about your issues, your estates, your planning and what, as in not even your, but our, this is a conversation we have to have together, because that is what I saw where I grew up from. So I came with that expectation. But when I find that you're doing otherwise, then I feel like I'm not your significant other. I feel like there's a person who is more important in your life, and that person could be a friend, and could be either a female colleague, or could be an uncle, or could be someone. And by the way, jealousy is not brought about by someone that someone can cheat with. Sometimes it can happen with someone that it's far-fetched, it cannot even happen, but you just feel like that someone has taken the most important place in someone's life, and you just feel like you are chasing up and catching up with this person. So you see that realizing that and being able to communicate it, especially to a person that is a leader, very responsible and very understanding, not just any man. If that is your husband, then you know that this person is going to realize that, okay, I didn't know that that's what you felt, but can we address that?
Can we talk about
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
When did I start handing over my land titles to my mother? Maybe I did that when I was single, and when you got into my life, I didn't see the need of reversing it and changing it towards you. So the person gets to know that, it was not just thought about, that I'm not worth it, but it is a habit he had already done before.
Exactly. So the other, as we close, you said we are closing. The other is that I've observed again with the jealous thing, is someone dealing with the present based on what happened in the past. You make the past the yardstick to the future, and every time there's something, however small, you dig the last 15 or 20 years of someone's life and
resurrect them,
and you throw it at their face. It's like you take them to that court, and
you're the jury, you're the judge, you're the prosecutor.
And so this what happens. This person that you're taking to court must defend himself. And defending himself means hurting you.
Yes.
So when you deal with your past, bury it. Let it go.
I hope we are on the same chapter, because this is something that has really, 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 really brought so many couples and so many relationships down.
You dealt with the past.
Bury it.
Bury it.
Pretend you have forgotten it.
There's nothing in your past that you're going to change. If your man yakwenenyeza, if your woman yakwenenyeza, bury it completely. Please don't bring
because you have a lot
back.
more to look at in the future.
Number 2, as I conclude, okay, when you have an issue, deal with that issue as is.
Not resurrecting everything else.
Don't,
And ladies never forget.
And I don't know why.
God created us that way.
And when you find a manipulative person,
they can turn the tables.
The moment we're talking about A, and you're bringing B, C, and D,
they will find a way to turn
I'll
the
find
tables.
something small that I'll use against you.
Yes.
And you'll be hurt the more. So when you're dealing with an issue, be sober to deal with that issue.
As is. Instead of resurrecting, I've heard of ladies that refer to atenoli wankola bwenti ateno mwaka guli weguti ate wali wayambade rugoye weruti. I know that's not necessary.
It's not at all. If you're dealing with an issue, deal with it as is. Make sure that you have a conclusion on that issue. Let it go.
Okay, so action point in this video. I want you to be able to list your insecurities.
True.
And be able to know, as in, what are you insecure about? What is the trigger to your the jealous or the insecurity that you are feeling, so that you can be able to highlight them and know where the problem is. And if you need help alone, you can be able to get that help. If you need help as a couple, you can be able to get that help. But it does not help, just like I said, when there is love and romance and intimacy and respect. As in, this is like a lifeboat, because we are on this journey, troubled journey, and it's like an ocean. We are like on an ocean. A lot of things are going bad, but if a lot of things are going bad, then our safest place should be our partners. And should be our homes. But again, if we are going to create turmoil back at home, then we don't have a refugee, we don't have a safe place to run to. So make your home a safe place. Make your partner the person that your fallback place. Let them have your back and work towards that. Okay, let's deal with whatever we need to deal with. From us to you is a bye-bye.